Greetings and welcome to Channel Rockaritaville. I'm El Rock, your hostess, and we're sitting down on this beautiful Saturday afternoon to have just a quick chat. I don't know, about life and whatever comes up, spirit, growth, transformation. We're going to take a look at the cards and clarify with the charms for the new moon in Scorpio. We are pre shadow Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. We've just moved into Scorpio season on October 23rd. So happy birthday, early or belated, fellow Scorpios. I just had my solar return yesterday, so my appearance day. Had a beautiful birthday yesterday. I got home from a business trip late Thursday night. I took really good care of myself yesterday. I caught a cold while I was away and have been going through, in general, energetic upgrades. And I've been traveling for the last 2 weeks professionally. And frankly, it's been difficult. And perhaps some of the lessons I learned will come up in the reading if they're relevant. Happy to share those with you. Life's always a lesson. And as a reminder, this is just a general reading, so it may or may not fit you. We're dig because it is Scorpio season. The new moon is in Scorpio. Mercury retrogrades in Scorpio. There's a lot of scorpionic energy. My sun and Venus are in Scorpio, which means I have a huge Scorpio influence. And one of the interesting things about the path of the Scorpio is that while the sign is associated with the scorpion and the phoenix being the ascended version of Scorpio, I read, and I don't remember the book, I have it on my bookshelf, so perhaps I'll dig it out one day. But essentially, the Scorpio, due to its dramatic nature, I think Scorpio gets a bad rap, but Scorpios are they're badass and they transform over and over and over again. And if they can get out of the shadow energies of the Scorpio nature and move into the higher ascended energies of Scorpio, they're literally unstoppable. And so, with that in mind, the four animals actually associated with Scorpio is the first animal is the gray lizard. Now, that's the animal spirit that's really going to be in its shadow self. It's lowest level Scorpio with all of the low frequency, low vibrational attitudes of the gray lizard, the jealousy, the vindictiveness, the revenge Scorpio, the sexually driven out of your lower chakras Scorpio, really not making decisions for their highest good or for the highest good of anyone around them. To ascend to the next level from the gray lizard, you then move into the scorpion. The scorpion is known for, having that soft inside and yet that super hard exterior along with a stinger that will actually kill itself. It will sting itself to death before it lets a predator get it. So that's your next level of Scorpio. So you're really kind of the heart of Scorpio is there, and their softness and their sensitivity and their watery nature, but they're still a fixed sign. They're still, they're still protecting themselves, even though they're ascending, and so they're more balanced, and yet they're still dabbling in the shadowy sides of Scorpio. The next level of Scorpio that ascends from the scorpion animal totem would be the eagle. And the eagle is the ascended version of Scorpio. It's now in its higher frequency vibration. It's running on the energy that Scorpio runs on, its passion, its drive, commitment, loyalty. Those are the things that have transcended the jealousy and the ego states of the gray lizard and the shell and the stinger of the scorpion. The eagle is now ascending into flight. It's more direct with its communication. It's just coming in as a strong version of itself and can get above the lower frequencies of a non integrated Scorpio. The next level of the Scorpio journey is the Phoenix. And the Phoenix is that full ascended Scorpio that you're spending more of your time in the higher vibrational frequencies of ease and allowing life to happen for you, and you're a manifester, and you've gone in and you've gone into the shadows of your gray lizard and your scorpion and even the lower flying eagle, and you've ascended and you have transformed all of those things. And the phoenix is known from rising up from the ashes into its divine, fully connected self. And so the journey of Scorpio is really quite a deep one if you're interested in it more deeply than just the, what does my love horoscope say? So, that's kind of the path that we're on right now. So, with such influential universal energy, now, when you think of the full moon and how the full moon impacts the tides of the ocean, I almost said emotions, and that's true as well. And yet the pull of the moon is influential on the entire earth. Now, think about what that does to our bodies. Now, what's happening planetarily is also influential to our bodies and our energetic natures. We are energetic beings. And so all of those are influences, and with so much scorpionic energy, whether you're Scorpio or not, you are being influenced by everybody else who's being influenced by the energy. This is a time of transformation and letting go. Scorpio is the house of sex, death, and transformation. So with so much energy, Mercury retrograde impacts communication. So deep things are coming up, and your ability to effectively communicate that may be impacted. And if we can be compassionate towards ourselves and towards others and know that this is one aspect of a collective energy that's currently going on right now, then we can make this time of transformation far more beautiful for ourselves. With the new moon, it's a time of rebirth. It's a time of seed planting. The new moon is in Scorpio, which means you'll look to set 6-month goals for the full moon in Scorpio, which will come early to mid-May 2020. With that, think about, the projects you want to start over the next few weeks. Things are now in their infancy and they're growing with this new moon energy. So it's really a time of setting your intentions on where you want to be in 6 months and potentially mapping out your game plan to achieve those milestones and those marking points. With the retrograde energy, this is an invitation for you to pause and slow down. There's a lot of sort of anxiety and impatience, abruptness, impulsive behavior is going to be on the forefront of this time. And because of the intensity of the Scorpio energy, it's not always going to be people behaving badly. And, karma, I find that conversation a really confusing topic because I hear so many different beliefs on it. And one of my beliefs about karma is that the karma that we create for ourselves is not what the world brings to us. Rather, it's what we bring back to the world in moments of challenge, right? So if we are given the gift of an opportunity where we're triggered and we can come back at it in a state of love, sometimes that takes a moment to pause to be able to do that. Sometimes that takes more than a moment. Sometimes it takes a week or a month or a year. And yet, how we show up ends up being our karma. So it doesn't really matter what people do to us. What matters are the vibes that we put out. And one of the things we'll talk about a lot on this channel are vibes. So let's see, what else did I get from my meditation? Just, slow down, look at what's in it for me, or not for me, but for you, right? It's called the WIFM, WIIFM. It's a radio station and it's your channel. And it's the channel that you'll want to tune into when you're being asked to overcome. Life will invite you into opportunities day in and day out, from the person who pulled out in front of you or took your parking spot, all the way up to the big, life-changing events where that this day that your life will never be the same after this day, right? It embodies all of that. And your ability to find out how it serves your highest good. Let me give you an example. So I was invited into several lessons for personal mastery while I've been traveling over the last few weeks. And I worked for the airlines for 10 years. And one of the things I have never done is yelled at airline agents. And yet I had that exact thing happen. And I am so not proud of it. And yet I'm going to own it. And it's funny because even now I feel completely justified in why I yelled at her. And yet it still wasn't okay. Nothing was achieved. All I did was spread bad vibes. It was the circumstance actually worked out in my highest good. You know, I was able to stop where I was at instead of having another 2 hours of my travel time left, which meant the hour getting to where I was going, the time spent getting a rental car, my luggage, finding my way to a hotel, getting checked in, like being, missing the last flight of the night to my destination allowed me to pause. And I couldn't appreciate the pause when I was in it. And once I was in my hotel room and I was settled and I'd had a shower and, and I was fed and, life began becoming a little bit more normal, and I could see the gift that this delay was for me. And yet the way that I took it out into the world was kind of karmically gross. I did not represent myself in life in a way that I am proud of. And through Scorpio season, you are going to be given invitation after invitation to show up like an asshole. And, and your personal mastery, your transformation is, your invitation, should you choose to accept it, is, can I just stop? The entire time I was yelling at that airline, at the airline personnel, I was telling myself, shut up, walk away, stop this, don't do this anymore. The voice of my angel on one shoulder was like literally screaming in my ear, and I couldn't get past the yelling that I was doing. And I'm embarrassed, and, just damn, it's just a moment for us to step back and go, yeah, I've got more work to do. And okay, next lesson. I didn't do awesome on that test of personal mastery. Doesn't make us bad people. What matters is what we do going forward. Really quickly, I want to add, so that's a lot of the messaging or information that I received when I do my prep for our time together here on YouTube on Rockaritaville. I medicate. Hilarious. Well, I guess, meditation is medication, in case you ever wondered. There is nothing more medicinal than being able to take that deep breath in and connect with your oneness. So, with that, I was meditating on the new moon in Scorpio energies and the Scorpio energies in general. I can't remember if I said it or not, but yesterday was my birthday. I'm a Libra Scorpio cusper with my Venus in Scorpio, so I have a lot of Scorpio influence. And I like to consider myself on the Phoenix journey of the Scorpio. So hopefully there's some lessons that I've received that I can pass your guys' way. Feeling really earthy these days, as you can tell by here in the background. We've got a lot of, kind of earthy energies going on with the harvest and fall and all of that. And this prayer is a prayer that I wrote down. It's by John Crawford, and it's from the film Gateways to Fairy. So if you just want to take a moment and center yourself. And I express my profound love for all that is, my reverence to the divine. Sacred spirits to the east, grandfather sun, the spirit of the sunrise, the fire, the anarchy of humanity, the golden eagle, I give thanks for the gift of this day. I call in the spirits of the south, the goddess, sister moon, the plants that heal us and teach us and feed us, waters that cleanse us and wash away our tears. I give thanks for the gift of this day. I honor the sacred spirits of the West and call upon you and ask for your presence. Grandmother Earth, with all of the things living on her, who gives us everything we need to dance our dream. To Grandmother Snake and the Stone Clan, whose hearts lie close to the earth, I ask that you accompany me on this journey. I call the sacred spirits of the North, God, the Father, the beginning, in the beginning, the creator of creativity, and the snows of purity and the winds that bring new ideas and spread our prayer through the earth. And I honor the as above and the so below, the sacred law that all things are born through the feminine. Let nothing be done to harm the children. Honor the people and the fairies. And so it is. Amen. So I just love that prayer. It really puts me in that place of connectedness with the divine and truly all that is. So thank you for indulging me with that. Let's take a minute. Let's see here. So one of the things, so the reason I have the death card out, I don't remember if I talked about this or not, is the death card has been showing itself to me a lot these last few days. And this particular death card from the Mystical Cat Tarot, is it the Mystical Cat Tarot? To me just represents how powerful the death process that Scorpio season brings in. It is truly the opportunity to transform those pieces of your essential self that were lost and bring those back into you, into integration in your life. And I love this because it's really, this card to me really speaks of the support of, the ethers, the ancestors, the guides, your invisible board of directors, shining down on you, not only healing your body and also healing your spirit. And, so just, this is a time or a season where if you are going through a period of transformation to, it's an invitation to learn to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And there's this beautiful Buddha quote that pain is inevitable and suffering is optional. And suffering really begins in the mind. And, there are ways to kind of love yourself out of your own head, be compassionate, be generous to yourself, be welcoming and warm to yourself during this time. Any deaths that are happening in your life, and I don't mean literal, I mean figuratively. I'm going to use the butterfly as an example. A butterfly spends the majority of its life as a caterpillar, and then it literally eats itself into a cocoon where it morphs for a very short period of time Not in the cocoon. I don't know how long that takes, but the butterfly's lifespan is relatively short, depending on the species. And so its entire life it's spent consuming all the way up until the time that it goes into what we might call the hermit state or the death state of the caterpillar when it emerges as its true and essential fullness of itself. And that's the invitation of Scorpio season. So I want to just take a look really quickly. I always pre-shuffle, and the cards I'm using today, I'm using Carolyn Mace's archetype cards. And so I would just like to get, first card, I would like to get the archetype energy of the Watcher, which came out as Child Magical. So, child magical energy in regards to the archetype or the energy that you can embody during this time is child's magic. And so, the light attributes or the qualities that you would be looking for is that you would be looking for the potential for the sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible. So, when death and transformation are upon you, the belief that what's on the other side of death and transformation is a butterfly is what allows you to stop and embody the energies to allow the ending to occur. If you're in the shadow attributes, pessimism, depression, not believing in miracles, believing that energy and action are not required for growth, will keep you stunted. Those are the energies that are going to work against you. And of course, these are the light and these are the shadow attributes. So you've got high and low, and then you have all the corresponding energies that run the scale in between. Your awareness, what you can embody is the magic of the change here. So that's really beautiful. The guidance here is as you go through this new moon in Scorpio and this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, that really connecting with the child and the magical aspects of yourself, allowing magic in. One of the things that I took the absolute most delight in, when I spent the night, at the airport, the airport hotel in Detroit on Sunday night, was this little. I was at the Westin Hotel at the Detroit airport, and they had an amenity on the side of the bed, which was this little itty bitty roller bottle with lavender essential oil in it, and it was just like it just tickled me pink, right? And sometimes, it brought a magical moment into what was like a really stressful travel day. Traveling for business is different than traveling for leisure. I had a class to facilitate that I showed up late for. There's business before the business because life happens during that time, and I'd lost the magic of the journey and a little tiny hotel amenity that was a lavender essential oil roller bottle that I used and put on, and it helped lit me up like a Christmas tree. So, be willing to find your magic, you guys. What energies, what archetype energies will the viewer likely be influenced by in the coming 2 weeks? So, what are your influencing energies outside of you? That's what I want to ask. What are the energies influencing outside that Watcher? Outside. Okay. Wow, lots of child energy. So child eternal. The light attributes of this are determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, the ability to see things with fresh eyes. The shadow attributes are the inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical security. So your external energies are somebody who is, whether they are potentially an elderly person, whether this be a parent, whether this be a relationship, a friendship, a job opportunity. There's somebody that's in there, or there's an energy that's an outside influence that is in the child eternal state. And it's going to be up to you to be able to identify which child state they're in. Now, if they're determined to remain young in body, mind, and spirit and see things with fresh eyes, it means that they're growing, right? If you have a 50-year-old who's, wants to go to a vegan restaurant, that's somebody who's in the light of their child eternal. They know that their body temple is changing and that there are adjustments that are made. And to make those adjustments to keep the body temple eternally a child in mind, body, and spirit, this personality type or this person in your life will be leaning towards things that keep them young, listening to music that they love. Perhaps they go for a walk every day, or they play a sport, or they bike ride, something that keeps them youthful in mind, body, and spirit. Now, if you're in the shadow attributes of this outside influence, this is somebody who is in a low frequency child state and relies on people for their happiness. They need to be given things. Maybe this is an expensive person in your life. Maybe this is a person who, for them to be in child state with you, that there are some dependencies on you. Perhaps you're the driver all the time, or perhaps you pay for everything, or perhaps it's somebody who's consistently asking for loans because they went out and got their hair and nails done instead of paying their electric bill. These are, there's a difference between the responsible and the irresponsible child states. And my mother used to say this thing to me as a child, which it stuck with me deeply, is that it's better to be responsible than it is to accept responsibility. And that's kind of what your outside influencing energy is your opportunity to look at, is this somebody who is making responsible choices in a state of eternal youth, or is this somebody who's making irresponsible choices using a state of youth or youthful mindset to as an excuse? And so only you're going to be able to determine that. And let's see here. So now that we've discussed like kind of the energies around the Scorpio new moon, so you've got your Scorpio death happening, you've got the rebirth of the new moon happening, you've got the slowdown of Mercury retrograde, looking in your past, all of those kind of things. What's the best archetype energy? No, I don't like the word best. What archetype energy, what additional archetype can we pull from? Can Rockarita Villers from the community pull from to help them during this period? What archetypal energy? What final archetypal energy? Oh, the Alchemist. Wow, very cool. So it came out in reverse. We'll take a look and see what those shadow attributes are. Misuse of power and knowledge that come through spiritual practice. So here's one of the things that was actually a really interesting experience that I had. When you are really digging into spiritual practice, whether it's religion, if you're Christian, you have a completely different language than somebody who's a Buddhist, right? You're talking about Jesus, you're talking about Moses. If you're a Buddhist, you're talking about Buddha. There's just different topics depending on what your religion is and or belief system. In those belief systems, there is a knowledge or a language that's translated or transmuted between the followers, right? And what I'm getting here is the potential of be aware of, because this did come out in the reverse position. So I'm speaking to an awareness and calling you into the awareness that perhaps there's somebody in your realm or coming into your realm or sphere that walks like a duck and talks like a duck, and it's not a duck, it's some other waterfowl. Um, and it's mimicking something that is not of the light attribute. So it has the language, this energy. It appears to be what it appears to be. And yet, because this came out in reverse, you are being invited to take a deeper look. If this is a person that's coming in with really, inner child attributes, for example, you have somebody who's really coming in talking about the inner child and self care and self love and all of these things. And yet, the things that they do are sort of in opposition to the light attributes. If the child attribute is to go eat a gallon of ice cream versus go have a handful of grapes, do you see what I'm saying? It's the contrast of the actions that are going to influence your understanding that the words don't match the actions. So you're being alerted to the show me energy. So even though somebody can speak your language, are they showing you the actions and the movements and the things that actually support that? On the light attribute side, if this had come out in the upright position, it would be the transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom, right? So this is taking it to the next level, understanding what's in it for you and also what's in it for the collective. So I really, the alchemist is a creator, the alchemist is a manifester, the alchemist knows how to use their tools, their energy, the power, the passion to create. It is a proactive energy that's flowing from love, not a reactive energy flowing from fear. And that's the difference between your shadow and your light alchemy. We're about ready to switch over to a new video, so I'm going to pause here.